All right, all right. You thought you had some time set aside for yourself? Well, now your son needs help with his poli-sci homework. Tell him to pull up ChatGPT and nail that assignment, because you're busy for the next hour with another episode of Two Average Joes, with your hosts from Lakes Havasu, Arizona, Tony P., and from Long Beach, California, Joe Kelly. And without further ado, Two Average Joes. We'll see what happens. Well, hey, I want to start off with something on a couple lighter notes about, athletic stuff. Boston Marathon happened this morning. I mean, I used to run long distance running and run the first two LA marathons. This guy and the girl, the John Corrier and Sharon Lokedi, these two people, they both won it last year. They're both from Nigeria, and John beat his time by about three minutes. Sharon didn't beat her time, but she still came in first. But it's like, I thought that was kind of cool just to mention that, hey, a couple of Nigerians, because I've run it. I ran it, I think 3 hours and 40 minutes, and it killed me. That's a long way to run. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, well, what is it? 25 miles or
26.2, and the reason it's 26.2 and not 25, even though it was 25 miles. From, I think it's Marathon to Athens was the original distance, and so that was the marathon was always stated at 26 miles. I think it's what it was. But when they went to England, they measured it out, and it ended 0.2 miles away from the Queen's her booth, and she said, "Nope, It'll end in front of me." So we're not moving the booth, just move the line. So it's been 26.2 because of her ever since. I want to say it was in the 30s that happened, but that's a true story. That happened. Now, the one thing I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes?
Oh, I was just going to say, when you're in that position, you got a little juice, right? You get to set the rules.
You got to do something with that power, at least something. It's like, if you can't change the, distance of a race, I mean, what kind of power do you really have,
I don't even want to have to turn my head. In fact, I want you to run in place in front of me.
I tell you what, when
I
ran the LA Marathon the first time, and the second time too, there's banners at every mile marker. It's been 1 mile, LA Marathon 1, 2, and these circles, and you get to about 20, and you're like, screw the Queen of England. It's like that 0.2 miles seems like an eternity to get to that ending line.
You're crawling.
It's like, oh man, you're just almost, you've hit a wall usually. But anyway, the other thing I want to talk about as far as sports wise was this whole idea of the ABS system they're using in baseball now, the automated ball strike system that they're using.
Oh, I didn't know that went into. I knew they were talking about it. I didn't know it went into effect. You're talking about sort of like the laser.
Well, now, I'll
would identify the strike zone.
Exactly. I'll give you the rundown on it. So they're using this sophisticated laser system that checks it out. There's only 2 challenges per game per team. Now, it's just if you say I challenge it and you succeed, then you don't use up a challenge.
Got it. So you could challenge 10 times, and if you were correct 10 times, you still have 2 challenges in your pocket.
Exactly. And the only person and it has to be done about approximately 2 seconds in response time, someone has to tap their head. It's a tap their head. So you see him now, it's like the battle will go, nope, tap the head. So they check it out. And if he wins, then it's no good. I mean, the call is overturned, whatever the umpire said. And the only people that can do that are the pitcher, the catcher, and the batter. Those are the only 3 people that can stop it.
What if you're playing in a stadium in a state that has like a lot of mosquitoes, and you're just trying to get comfortable?
Well, what you should not do is go to any auction they have in the same building. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll be out all your money too. So I can see where that happened. But I just thought it was interesting. I've watched a few games, and I've been to a game also already this year where that was put into play. Now I have some reservations about that. I like that idea, but wait a minute. No, I've seen a lot of calls. It's like, oh, they're afraid to say something because they don't want to blow their opportunity. If you blow your 2, then if there's extra innings, then you get another one at the extra innings.
Yeah, there's a fine line there because you don't, it's just like in football or anything. You don't want to be at the end of the game when you really need it, right? And you're like, fuck, I used all mine. Exactly. I mean, I don't want to be Captain Obvious, but let me just throw this out there. Now, I understand for a variety of actions or plays, you still need an umpire or someone officiating behind the plate. But why can't you alleviate the calling of the pitch and leave it solely to the laser? I mean, it's a laser, right? They literally could connect it to a digital fucking board behind home plate. Ball strike, get the fuck out, next batter. And the guy's still there in case there's a play at home, or what's some of the zany things that can happen? Like if you, well, I mean,
you're not really going to break up a fight. I've never seen an umpire get in the middle of things.
But I meant as far as calls, right. I guess you could still be the one calling a balk. What is it when the batter swings halfway?
Well, it's a check swing, but the thing is that they're always going to refer. You'll see the catcher point to the third base umpire or the first base umpire. So what do you see? And they'll go, no, it's good. Or
okay, so you've already got two people that can cover that.
Yeah.
And then there's the balk by the pitcher. So I guess multiple people could monitor that and still keep and you got to have a person behind the plate because there's going to be a play at home,
right?
Or there's going to be a pop-up behind the catcher. There's things that still could happen, but take away the calling of the balls and strikes. You've got the capability. Why even put it on somebody?
Maybe
you think it's just part of the sport, it's part of the tradition, or
well, yeah, you got to have a scapegoat. If your team sucks that day, it's like that stupid umpire. You messed up that
call. Put a scarecrow back there. And you can even hit the scarecrow with your bat, right? It's like an incentive.
Well, it's just a matter of time before that happens. I thought that should happen anyway, but it was, I saw 3 of the calls that were made overturned and one of them that wasn't overturned. And they show you right on the screen too. Hey, the ball was right in the corner. It wasn't in the corner.
I think there's multiple sports. I think tennis is another one.
Well, yeah, on the line. I don't see why not.
The net, everything's laser, no problemo. Remove the guy from the fucking lifeguard chair. And what else is he watching? He's calling right. He's calling the serve. He's calling in and out, right?
Right.
So
well, see, I don't know. Anyway, I agree with you. It's a tough thing, but that's I just thought that was interesting.
I did have something I wanted to share. We've talked a couple of times about not eating bread.
Right.
Now, if you had to eat a bread, is there one you choose? Because apparently, of all the evils of bread, sourdough at least helps the gut and does things as far as that whole bacteria. And sourdough tastes great. Would that be your go-to, or are you still someone that's going to lean towards like an old organic multi-grain?
No, I would never eat organic multi-grains. If I had to eat something, I would eat the sourdough. That's the closest. And the thing is that I know you can buy. I mean, there are bakeries here in Long Beach that make sourdough with good flour, like European flour that's not bleached and enriched and all that crap. Right. It's real bread. It's the kind of bread that if you leave it out for a day and a half, it's all getting molded. You're not going to be able to use it. It's real bread. So I think that sourdough is something that I live. I mean, we lived in San Francisco for such a long time, dude. It's like sourdough is like the best stuff in the world. When I went from Walnut Creek, California, having sourdough whenever I wanted, then going to New York, I worked at a place called Emily Shaw's, and it was a 4-star restaurant, and it was fine dining. And he had his bread flown in from San Francisco. It was wonderful because I'd have nice scampi, this kind of scampi with the shrimp scampi with the brown gravy, and you've got that nice sourdough bread, or escargot, and you just eat the escargot and you dip the sourdough bread in the butter and the garlic. Right, it's like holy smokes, that's amazing. I'm getting hungry right now. I haven't eaten today. So.
People say, "Oh, I'm not going to eat a snail." I'm like, "Don't," but dip your bread in that.
It's just the same as chewing on an eraser.
I say that like a big talker, but unfortunately, those days are over for me. There'll be no dipping my bread in the butter.
Why is that?
Unless I want to go shit myself.
Oh, it messes with your system. Well, it's like it's
they
good
say
to put
over
on the
50 is common. People become lactose intolerant.
Well, I haven't had that problem.
I thought people made that up, lactose intolerant. I thought people were but.
Yeah, I've become more hay feverish as I've gotten older. The climate affects me more.
Really?
Yeah. So I take wellness formula and mullein and manuka honey, all that stuff I take every day.
I had read this about bread, and then I read it about rice, and then I've read it about pasta. And so apparently there's some process in the cooling or freezing like for example, if you had some sourdough, right, and you froze it first and then toasted it, it does something to reduce some of that gluten effect and carb effect. And apparently that's the same with pasta. Throw it in the fridge overnight and then drop it in a little warm water, heat it up the next day, and have it for dinner. Significantly reduces the carb effect on the body, and then how it would turn to sugar. Same with rice. Same with bread. Isn't that weird?
Well, the thing is I looked at what does it cost? What do you want? What does it cost? Pay it kind of idea. And it's like, look,
right.
It's not worth my time for all that crap. I go, look, Romaine's shape is perfect. I'll just go buy organic because it's not messed with and there's no holes in it. And I'll cut them the size of a piece of bread. I put them all, I wash them. And the thing is people think, well, salad wilts. No, soak it in water. And there's something called turgor pressure. The lettuce actually absorbs it and becomes crisp. Vegetables do that. They don't get soggy in water. They actually get more, the cell membranes absorb that water and become more, strong. So
yeah, remember in the restaurants, they'd always keep the lettuce in a tub of water.
Exactly. So
onions.
I keep that in there. And so I make a burger and I'll take a duck egg, fry it up, and then I'll make some grilled onions. And I don't really care. I just have a napkin. I'll just throw everything on there with some mayonnaise and boom, I can deal with that. It's much easier for me to deal with that than have to worry about the bread thing because Tony's chocolate, I bought by the 4-pack on Amazon. I love that stuff. Now I can eat a bar of that chocolate and not really gain any significant weight. But if I ate the same amount of chocolate chip cookies, I'm screwed. The flour in it just makes me bloat. And so I said, okay, these are the things you're going to have to give up. You're going to have to give up the tortillas and all that crap.
It's not really good for anybody. We've talked about it. I feel it. I still eat bread occasionally because I still like a burger and I still like a sandwich. I still like some pasta, so I still get my carbs. I certainly watch how much of them I get. But when I do, I pay the price. I've had some bread this last week and some pasta, and I'm paying the price. The knees sore, the knuckles are sore, the arthritis is swollen. It just happens. People think I'm making it up or whatever. I'm like, no. I go, and you know what? Now I'm going to have a steak tonight. Steak vegetables. I'm going to keto out without the dairy for 4 days, and it's going to be gone.
Now, when it comes to dairy, the kind of stuff that I know it sounds crazy, and I didn't think I'd ever do this, but I don't buy like good value milk and stuff like that because I read this article and it said, be very careful about the milk you drink because how are the cows cared for? Because if they're treated like crap, they release a hormone that changes the flavor of the milk. They get anxiety. Right. It changes the flavor of the milk. So what you want is, I know it sounds crazy, but you want happy cows raised on a farm where they just open the gate, let them go out and pass, and then some guy sits there and milks them. Well, that costs $6.50 a half gallon. That's $13 a gallon for that milk. But I don't care. I drink so little of it. When I do a protein shake, I want it to, and it just it tastes so delicious because it's real milk.
You totally have to. And this is before AI and everything, so I assume it's true. But I did see a video a few years back. It's sort of disturbing. Should I mention it? It's very disturbing. Should I pass?
No, please share it.
So apparently in dairy cow world, a cow can get pregnant X amount of times a year, right? Or whatever it does that causes them to produce the milk. If I'm correct, I could be talking out of my ass. But anyway, in order to make this happen, they put them on what's called like a rape wheel, where it's almost like a carousel. Like they're going around, like they're chained to this bar and it's going around in circles. And as they're going around, it's injecting them. And apparently they do this so often to make the cow produce milk that after a few years or so they're physically and like mentally just like done, right? Like they can barely stand up anymore. And then who knows what they do? Slaughterhouse. I don't think they're really good for anything. Dairy cows can't be meat, can they? No.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can.
Can they?
In fact,
is it a lesser grade?
No, not necessarily. In fact, I was watching this program, the Kilchers. It's like the Alaska, the final frontier. These guys live over on the west side of Alaska, and they've got like 1,000 acres, and they raise cattle, and they move them from one area to the other. And he said, well, this dairy cow of theirs got sick, and they were going to have to kill it. He says, goes, what are you going to do with it? He goes, Are you kidding me? That cow's lived a wonderful life. That meat is going to be amazing. I mean, they eat it. It's a wonderfully, it doesn't do any work. All it does is produce milk. I go out here and I eat
Right.
and I come back and give milk. It doesn't do any work at all. So it's very tender. So I would, yeah, I look at those kinds of things and think, I even with the milk, I can taste the difference. I told Sue, here's a glass of the last of the good value milk from Walmart that cost $2 a gallon, a half gallon.
Right.
Taste this. She's like, okay. I said, now taste this at $13 a gallon. And she's like, it's like drinking ice cream. It tastes so creamy and delicious. It's worth it to
Yeah.
me.
Well, it's like eggs. It's like you get the duck eggs. You probably get it first. I had a lady in town here where I live, and I would go buy the eggs from her, and she had the chickens, and even compared to the best egg you can buy at the grocery store, not even close. Right,
Not
the
even
color of the
close.
yolk, the size. I mean, just completely different.
The
And
flavor is just so rich. It's
yeah.
like the best. So I agree with you. I agree with
But I
you.
have to tell you though, I wasn't a fan of the duck egg. But then someone told me that a primary use for the duck egg is a lot for baking because it does something that more than the regular egg does. I don't know
Well,
if it
the
fluffs
middle of
up
the
more. Or,
well, yes and no, but the middle of the egg is the protein. That's what I mean.
right,
Excuse me. The white is the protein. So if you've got a lot of protein and you mix it up, you're going to have whatever you're making. Like say if you're making like meatloaf, you use a couple of duck eggs. That thing's going to be firm as all get out. It's not going to fall apart. So it's a hardening agent is what it's used
right.
for. But I mean, I got over. I think it's just a mental thing. It's like,
But you
oh,
like the flavor.
oh, I love the flavor now. Yeah, I do. Now I don't usually like runny eggs in general. So I like mine over hard or scrambled, or if I just mix it up and create an omelet with it, it's the best. There's a different flavor to it that it's enhanced. It's not like, oh, that's weird. Like when you eat
Right,
venison,
right.
and you'd put a steak in venison, you're like, well, that's the deer. That's the obvious because it's got a taste you have to accustom yourself to. It's not just something that people love automatically. So
Well, I'm pretty sure I brought this up again or before, and I'll bring it up again. Uh, so it's not that I am completely old man and keep telling the same story, but that's the dilemma I have when I go out for breakfast to order an egg because I like my eggs cooked a certain way, which is very easy to do at home, right? You know how to do your own egg because I like mine over medium, still too loose for me. Even though the whites are done, I like the yolk a little firmer, but I don't like it hard, right? So I'll tell the waitress, tell them, I want when I cut the yolk open, I want like three prison teardrops to come out from the yolk, bright orange, you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I know
Little bit of
exactly.
yolk running down, but nothing close to loose. So, but in the egg world, it's not like steak. There's nothing between over medium and over hard. And even open over hard, you have to explain because over hard to some cooks means break the yolk,
Right.
right? And then flip it, and that's a complete fuck. That's like cooking a steak, well done. But so anyway, that's the dilemma I have. I guess the closest I could do is say, well, I want it poached or something like that. But then it's still a little runny. So what? How is that? How did the egg fucking cooking world skip one whole temperature on the chart?
It's always baffled me, and I used to go to, and my buddy and I would go to the Copper Skillet and have this massive breakfast every Saturday morning as a regular thing before we go to our Sunday afternoon shift, and it just I don't know. It just seems to me that they would never be consistent with the eggs. I'd
Right.
say just kill them, and then I get close to what I want. Just cook them like until there's crusteds on the edge, and that you can't
Yeah.
ruin that. Because if I say, look, can you do just turn the egg over and let it cook and don't break the yolk, that's baffles them. They don't understand that. So
Right. And
if
if you
it
say I want it over medium hard or medium well, they're like, what?
Now
So I
there's
don't know.
sometimes with regular chicken eggs, if they're fresh, I like to have them cooked like over, like just over easy. Everything is cooked nice on the bottom, but it's still nice and runny, and put that on a Wagyu burger, and then just
But
press it out and just drink that all
that
on the
duck
side.
egg is larger though, right?
Yeah, it's about 1.5 to 2 eggs bigger.
Okay, so it wasn't just the ones I had. It is a bigger egg, a bigger
Oh
yolk.
yeah. I wonder. I'd like to. I mean, because I've seen an ostrich egg, I've seen people eat an ostrich egg, and that's like eating like eight egg, 10 egg omelet or something like that. But I'm sure a goose egg would be the same thing. The one thing that's different about a duck egg, if you never had them, it's like you take a chicken egg and they'll break very easily. You just, in fact, I don't break it on the side of a dish. I just break it flat against the table and open it up, and that's the best way to do it. So I can get all the little pieces in there. But duck eggs, that's a hefty shell. You got to bang that fucker down. Excuse me, but
Really?
yeah, it's you got to do some work to get it done. It's a
you you
it's like you got
you
a
gotta
hammer.
keep a hammer in the
Yeah,
kitchen.
that's right. It's like, come on, we're gonna get this thing over here now. Just come on, it'll be fun.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like making cube steak just to get that egg open.
it's crazy sometimes.
So
It's worth it though.
there's a bit of a showdown going down between Bill Gates and RFK Jr. And we've talked about RFK, the guy,
Hmm.
physically fit, mentally fit. He isn't just talking the talk. It's like if you went to a doctor that was trying to tell you how to get healthy, but the guy weighed 3.25,
And he smokes.
right? It's like, well, why am I taking advice from you? You couldn't even get through the fucking door. But apparently there's this big thing going on in regard to this lab grown meat, and I didn't even know there was such a thing yet. I knew there was the fake meat made out of plants. My limited research on that, and when I say limited research, meaning I was scrolling through Facebook, is that plant-based meat has a bit of its own health problems that could cause as well. I mean, it's not,
Especially being a man.
Some plants. There's other things in it that necessarily aren't that great for you.
Well,
right?
Soy isn't good for men anyway.
The sales have dropped off.
Yeah.
But have you even heard of lab-grown meat? Have you even heard of that yet?
Yeah, I have. I've looked at those ideas. The thing is that people get all paranoid. It's like, oh my gosh, should I buy lab formed meat? It's too expensive to make 3D meat on a 3D printer quite yet. They can do it, but it's very expensive to do. They can make a
Right.
steak like that, but that to me that's impractical, and it's not something to really worry about quite yet. But the thing is that artificial food. I mean, I keep thinking. Do you remember the movie Soylent Green?
No.
Oh my God, that was when we were kids, maybe just a couple of years before you, or you're just 1 year younger. But it's like Soylent Green was the end of the world scenario where the world was running out of food, and they had Soylent Red, Soylent Green, Soylent Black, or something like that. But everybody loves Soylent Green. There wasn't enough to go around. Turns out they made that out of people. So it's like, yeah, Soylent Green was people. So it's like I always think about this artificial food. It's like, the day we run out of food is the day I stop eating and I die, because I'm not going to eat something that I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. I told them, hey, if things get bad enough, my wife and I will take a tent out somewhere and you'll find our skeletons in a spoon position somewhere, because I'm not going to deal with this crap. I just not.
And beef is getting outrageous, it's getting so expensive.
Yeah. I went from eating a regular Wagyu. Costco sells these 3 packs of grass-fed beef. It's like 85/15, so it's a good mixture for hamburgers and stuff.
Right.
But it comes in 1.5 pound increments, and so I just take it and divide it up by 6, and then I make smash burgers out of that. So that's the way it lasts me, because Wagyu
What do you
is
think
getting
it runs
expensive.
you a pound?
Let me see. Well, it's cost me $21 for 3 of that, so I'd say about dollars and maybe 50 cents, maybe $7 even per pound. It's not well.
That's pretty good for grass fed.
Yeah, but you have to buy it in bulk for to get it that
Right.
way. And it's probably a Costco loss leader, but that's what I've been buying. I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
things I won't buy at Costco because I know people that know a lot about that kind of stuff. It's like the things that I'm going to buy for myself. Do you buy organic fruit? Well, yeah, I would do that. I don't want the pesticides. I don't need that in my
Right.
life. Got enough of that. And it's like I'm getting to the point now where I'm
got enough of
questioning
that.
even drinking coffee anymore. It's like, just something else to worry about. Just
I've
drink.
been drinking that mushroom shit.
Well, that's my daughter drinks. Actually swears by that. It says it looks like you're drinking
Rise,
blood. It's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. RIZ. Yeah, my daughter takes that stuff.
dude. I gotta tell you, it definitely doesn't give you the hit that like a nice cup of Java. But it's not bad. It doesn't taste like mushrooms. It actually sort of tastes like cocoa.
Hmm.
So it's so that was an okay surprise. And but even Twee was like, after I was drinking it, like after a couple of weeks, and she's like, "Ah, you losing weight?" Because it helps with the belly fat, and especially I like to have a couple beers. I'm getting carbs from that, even though I watch what else I eat. But so it was having an effect. I gotta say, so far so good.
Nice.
It's supposed to have other benefits with the, with the liver and the less fogginess and not having that afternoon drop from the caffeine. You know what I mean? You caffeine up in the morning, and all of a sudden you hit that drop. So yeah, it's a little more expensive, but it's like every time I turn around now, what isn't?
Yeah, and it's I
Right?
just there's things like when I look at the what my dollar is buying, and it's not really buying a lot anymore, but I just decide, okay, what do you absolutely need in your life? Well, you don't need this, you don't need that. Then get rid of those. Just you need that. So I'm willing. I mean, it
Right.
sucks that we can. It's. I mean, I'm sorry. It's like one of the things I was going to talk about was conspiracy theories, and it's like, if you buy into one conspiracy theory, does that mean that you are a conspiracy theorist? But it's like I honestly believe that. I mean, I watched this movie and it was like Hunters, I think it was, and it's like these people that Jewish people that were in occupied Nazi Germany, held in concentration camps, came back and formed a society to find all those sons of bitches that got away and kill them.
Really?
Yeah, and so it has Al Pacino in it and some kid, and the thing was is that these guys would hunt down these people that would do these things. And one of the things they said that these evil people were doing, they introduced in the early 60s high fructose corn syrup. And put it into underdeveloped areas like Harlem and all these things where they oh, it's a bargain, and all it does is just screws with your head. It creates
Fucking
dementia,
diabetes.
diabetes, everything. It's terribly bad for you. And then you have people like your friend Bill Gates who says, you know what, I want there to be less people on this planet by the year 2030.
Right.
So, and what's going to do that? Probably vaccines. That'll probably do it. It's like,
Well,
oh, that gives me a
and
great confidence there, you know?
and it's so crazy because there's a huge population drop in the entire world, not just the US.
Yeah.
The US took a double hit because of the baby boomers retiring. So that's
Yeah.
what's affecting a lot of the labor. But in general, other countries, like what, 10 years ago or so, China lifted its ban on only one child. Russia now gives extended lunch hours because they hope you're going to go home and fuck. The U.S. is incentivizing parents having more babies. A lot of the young people that I know, they're in their 30s before they even have a kid. A
Right.
lot of them are one and done, maybe two. To run across like when I run across a younger person now, like under 40, that says they have four kids, that's an anomaly.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. It's like, wow, that's pretty traditional.
Two of my daughter's friends both have three waiting for their fourth child to show up, and
Yeah, now that is not common
it's
anymore.
like, yeah, well, it's be fruitful, multiply, but I guess you're doing it all by
Yeah,
yourself because nobody else is helping.
nor is it barely affordable.
No kidding. Hey, there was just
Hey,
I want to mention a couple of funny things or interesting things I just read. It's just really quick little tidbits.
yeah,
It just there was a Chinese man who tried to smuggle over 2,200 live ants from Africa into
yeah.
China, and he
I
got
saw
busted.
that. And did you see? I don't know if they showed a picture, but
Yeah,
they were all in little capsules,
yeah. He wanted
like
to keep
their
them
own little
alive.
cocoon.
He couldn't say, "Well, I had a donut in there. They must have gotten their baggage claim." I'm not sure how that happened. They came in
Yeah,
their own little
you know,
carrying cases.
on my way to the airport, I stopped and had a picnic. They
I don't
must
know
have
what
got in my
happened.
blanket,
It's like a
right?
Tommy Boy moment. What'd you do? You know, one of those kind of things. But
Yeah.
and then
What?
also there's a Florida python crisis. And you're thinking things aren't bad enough. They got alligators. Now they have
Yeah.
the python population has escalated to the point where they're eating alligators now. So it's like even the alligators are
And the
going like,
python is the one that, or is that the cobra?
no,
Which
that's a
one?
cobra. The python is the one that can get like 30 feet long and get this big around. In fact, if I heard a guy,
The jaws.
it opens up, it unlatches, it comes apart so they can swallow more. There's an Amazon. If you're ever in the military in the Amazon, there's one of these things. If you wake up and the bottom part of you is being swallowed by a python, this is what you
Right.
do. Do not squirm. Reach down slowly and grab your knife and cut along the edge of his mouth, because that's about all you got to do, or you're going to kiss your ass goodbye, because they will ingest you and slowly digest
So
you.
you'll what? You'll cut some type of tendon or
Yeah, it's like,
something
so they
that
can't
muscle that allows him to.
they can't shut their, well, see, they unlocks their jaws, but once you cut those ligaments that connect, they can't connect them back. So
Right.
I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be in a state of mind when I'm waking up. I'm going, fuck me. It's got these eyes that get you going, you taste pretty damn good from here, buddy.
Yeah, and I always sleep with my pocket knife nearby. Well, I guess if you're out camping, you might.
That's crazy. So now the last thing I want to share was, even it's at the end, it's got a like, what says you, Tony P? So it's like, this cruise passenger sued a line because they got drunk and they suffered from like traumatic injury that from falling down the stairs. And this guy wins, and he wins 300 pounds euro, which is, or English, which is about $297,000 he won from this. And so we're both restaurant people. What says you to that, Tony?
Well, one, not only restaurant people, but this again shows how in some other life you and I were brothers. Aside from the similarities, because on my notes is a similar story about a nurse from California that was on Carnival Cruise and had 14 shots of tequila within an 8-hour period, right? And fell, suffered, had a concussion, claimed she had brain damage, blah, 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 blah.
Got screwed 12 times.
I was going to ask you the same question, my friend. I was going to say, and we've talked about this, and what responsibility. Now, we understand from being in the business that bartenders are trained to cut people off. They're trained to identify. But let's be perfectly clear here. It's not because we give two fucks about that person. I'm not saying that in a mean way.
I understand.
But it's a liability thing. It's the same reason we called bouncers lounge host.
Right, exactly.
Because the word bouncer in court sounded different than someone who was a lounge host.
Exactly.
Like bouncer was, I'm going to kick your fucking skinny ass, and lounge host was, hey, welcome to the Square Cow Fun Bar.
Exactly.
So a bartender is trained to do that. But again, the reason is because he doesn't want the fine, right? Because when the restaurant gets busted, the bartender gets hit with a fine also.
And the bartender can be liable if you leave and hurt somebody. The bartender can be liable.
So these are all things out of precaution.
Right.
But I wouldn't, but you have to understand that the person knows what their limit is. I know what my limit is.
But Sue and I were talking about this earlier, because I said, this is something I want to ask Tony, because Tony's a restaurant guy and we've dealt with that. And I know anybody who's served alcohol for a long period of time, you look at the small percentage of time that you're like, crap, I don't think I should have served that guy the last 6 drinks, because nothing was going on. All of a sudden you saw the lights go off and all of a sudden there's nobody there. You're like looking at black eyes. I'm like, shit, I got to get somebody to get this guy home, or just take his keys from him and park him on a couch somewhere.
I don't know if you remember in the old days, but back in the early 90s and the 80s and stuff, and definitely the 70s and 60s, it was very common to have beverage napkins with your logo on them, or matches on the bar with your logo on them. This is before all the smoking thing, right?
Right.
So back then, in those days, if someone was leaving drunk, the lounge host, and they weren't calling lounge hosts back then, they were bouncers. The bouncers knew to, casually have the person check their pockets, and we would make sure that they didn't leave with any matches or bev naps, because there wasn't the tracking devices there are now. Back then, you wouldn't know where someone came from, nor would you be able to prove it. People didn't have cameras and shit. The POS didn't log everything. Hardly anyone was paying with credit cards. It was cash. So as long as they didn't pull a bev nap with your bar name on it out of the car wreck.
Well, one time, I was in Walnut Creek. I was working at the Pleasant Hill Black Angus. And I think at that time, I think that night I was working as a barback for him or something. And I was drunk. I mean, everybody was drunk. That's the bar business, But if you can't work and function, then you don't belong behind the bar. You need to be a functioning alcoholic. So I learned that quickly. So here I am on the way home, and I'm turning off from California onto Broadway. So I'm looking at the Bullocks and everything's over here. There's a Safeway there, and I'm turning, and I'm waiting the turning lane, and this car in front of me is not moving, and I'm in this big Dodge Polara tank, and haunt the horn. He's not moving. I'm like, you motherfucker. So I waited a whole nother set. I'm like, put the car in neutral. I go over there. This guy's passed out drunk in his front seat. And I'm like, okay. And so I just took him, opened the door, and I pushed him to, because it was a single bench seat, pushed him over. It's like 3:30 in the morning, so I drive over to the parking lot right there, and I left my car running in the turning lane. I'm like, it'll be fine. If cops show up, I'm in the clear. I'm doing something good. So I go over to this parking lot, and I park the car there, and this guy is out. He wasn't moving anything. So I said, dude, I'm sorry, you're going to have to call locksmith. I took the keys and I threw him across the parking lot, and I just left him in his car and went home. But it's like, I mean, what do you do in that situation? I mean, I've been pulled over drunk before, and one time I got pulled over drunk, and a cop pulled me over. He says, license and registration. Oh, Kelly, how you doing? And it was one of the guys I waited on when he come down to Torrance, Black Angus. He was one of the Torrance PDs, because Kozak, remember Chris Kozak? He was a bartender with us at Black Angus. He went to be a Torrance cop. They all came in and partied, so they all knew me. And he goes, dude, you're swerving a little bit. Why don't you do me a favor? Follow me. I'll get you home. If not, I'd go into jail. I mean, even in Georgia one time, I was 18, and I was like, I can drive to my grandmother's, over from my grandmother's house to my aunt's house. And I came out of a circular driveway, and a cop stopped right in front of me and turned his lights on. And I'm like, how does he know? And he goes, son, it's dusk. Turn your lights on, boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I turned back into the apartment complex, and I walked like 5 miles to my aunt's house. No, that was God saying, I just saved you from a very bad situation.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
Oh, dude. Those Southern cops, that's a Cool Hand Luke. What we have here is a failure to communicate. That's a great movie, man. Eat 50 hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah, talking about eating eggs.
Yeah, that's it, man. We just get a nice segue into that. And okay, now are we ready for some questions?
Well, I'll tell you what. Not only am I ready, I have it. What is a reoccurring dream or nightmare you pick, that sticks in your memory? Always seems to come up.
Whenever I get anxious, which isn't too often anymore, but I'm telling you, and I've confirmed this with other people in the restaurant business, it's that typical dream where all your tables are on one side of a busy street. You take all the orders perfectly, and it takes like 2 hours to get across, and then you look at all your orders have bled together, and you can't read anything. And you can't get back to talk to your tables. And you're like going, I can't get to my tables. And you hear them going, you're fired. I'm getting you out of here. So it's usually a waiter's nightmare that's reoccurring for me. I don't have recurring fan, of snakes or, spiders or stuff like that. I don't like spiders, but they're never in my dreams. It's always real things like, dude, you've been gone for a while, and your table section's filled up. You got 25 tables of 5 there waiting for you. So those are my kind of nightmares.
No, I'm not going to argue. Anyone that's been in the business knows they've had their share of those type of nighttime episodes.
They were bad. So okay, so here's something along the same line. What is your earliest memory? Think back as young as you can. What is your the first thing I can remember about whatever thought of now was this event when I was so many years old?
I have people that that have doubted this, because it's like, oh, there's no way you could remember that. But there's no way that I could also describe the house in the way I did. But I remember, and I would have had to have been 3, maybe 3.5 or whatever, who knows, young. And I remember when our house was on fire. I don't remember the house being on fire. I don't remember smoke or anything. I just remember being outside in the driveway and then watching my grandmother come through the door. And I remember where the door was located. I remember the house. And there's no way I would know the house, right? Because we didn't live in it. We moved after a couple of years. And so I never went back to the house. But I've described it to the people that have lived in the house, and they're like, no, the house, right? Now, how would I know that? How would I know where the back door was located in proximity to the driveway and the garage and all that? So there's only one way. I fucking remembered it. And it was just that 1 second. I don't remember like the fire. It's not like a whole movie. It's about a 10-second little blurb, but I remember it, and I would have been 3 to 3.5.
It's interesting.
Other than that, you'd have to skip into like 5, 6 years old.
No, but see, we're woven from the same cloth, because when I looked at that, I thought, well, what is my earliest one? And I thought, I remember talking to my dad about this. I was 3 years old, and I said, Dad, when was above my bed a cow jumping over the moon that was painted by Mama. And he looked at me, he says, "You remember that?" I said, "Yeah." And I remember coughing really bad. And you took me to the hospital and they put me in one of those plastic tents. And he
No.
said, "You were 3." And I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember every detail of sitting in being just so scared being in this hospital in this big room and I'm by myself in this tent, a humidifier, so to speak, trying to get condensation in my lungs so they'd break it up because I had the croup or something. But it's like me, I'm the same way you. 3 years old, that was the earliest of my memory was.
And what's crazy is the mind filters that. So every night when we're sleeping, the mind is filtering out memories, right? And it's almost like, recalculating. And there's always those handful, maybe the first kiss, or maybe, a wedding, who knows, but the birth of your children. There's memories that are just always up there in the top file cabinet, right?
Right.
Boom, they're there. And some of them go back to whatever, 3 4 5, but then you went 3 more years before you even have another memory that's in those cabinets. But I read that that's what happens at nighttime, that the mind is constantly filtering, and it's like your brain is like a computer, right? It's like, you talk about all this AI shit, but that's what your brain's doing. Your brain knows you so well that it can just filter out the thoughts that it knows you don't need and aren't going to want to see again.
Right.
How fucking crazy is that?
Well, what's interesting is that I'm one of these people. I've experienced EMDR, which is a type of hypnosis with using electrodes and stuff like that. And what it does is it takes you back to specific time periods and certain. So, I mean, it's so accurate that because the only way to get through certain traumas is to actually go back into them and relive the whole thing and work your way out of it. And that's what I had to do. It took me like 3 months of therapy going back to the same location and being traumatized by the death of my mother before I understood everything about it. But I remember Emergency, that TV show Rampart 51. That it was
Loved
on.
it. Loved
It was
it.
on. I remember the smells in the air. I remember all that stuff and remember everything in vivid detail that happened. And so what I realized from talking to my therapist, she says, you've got a catalog of everything you've ever thought of in your head, but there's no reason to look at that stuff. So your mind kind of mentally blocks you from the things that traumatize you or the things that are irrelevant. And maybe you get stuck on something because it's not irrelevant, it's messing with you. But you can
So you're
actually
saying
access any of that.
those, like in a movie, when we see the person trying to get someone to remember a particular event, right?
Mhm.
And of course, I guess it would be hypnotic. They're almost putting them in a state of
It is.
relaxation.
It's hypnosis. It has to be classified that way because it can't happen to you unless you're susceptible to being hypnotized. Now, I've been hypnotized by a hypnotist before and done things outside of my body, like watching myself do it and I have no control over it because you allow that to happen to yourself. You can't be hypnotized. That's why if you ever go to see a hypnotist, you can look it up online. George Sharp, he was a hypnotist back in the 70s. If you watch him, he'll start with like 60 people on stage and it'll whittle down to like 15 because those are the only people that actually hypnotized. And he'll say, okay, when I say the number 5, and he might say that a half an hour ago, and he'll say, and there were 5 times, and all of a sudden this girl's getting up and she's doing something crazy because she remembers it. Now, I didn't believe any of that stuff, even watching it, because it was like, okay, it's raining at high school and you got nothing for us to do during lunchtime, so you have this guy on. But there was this girl that soon I remember, and she was I forgot her name, but she was a little tiny, frail little girl. But this guy said you were going to be as flat as a 2x4. And as he touched her body going down that, he put her hands underneath her head, had his assistant pick up her heels, picked her up like she was a freaking board, put her back of her head on one stool and her heels on the other, and he stood on her stomach. And that was like, I'm sold now. That's real stuff. Because what your mind can do, I mean, like the ladies that get shots of adrenaline and lifted a car off their children, that's all real stuff. That's not made up stuff
Right.
for comic books.
Okay, so I'm going to put my question card away because we're just going to dig into that topic for a second. So
Okay.
now, how do you uh, make the connection between that and like almost a sorcerer, or are we delving into biblical things that we should not? How does that tie together? Like for example, like when you see like a medium, and people say that that's sacrilegious in a sense, right? Because and whether or not it's even true, who knows? But again, when you tarot card readers, things like that, it was always my understanding that I don't want to know, maybe sacrilegious is a little heavy term, but not not necessarily recommended or agreed upon in Bible or Christian thoughts. What's your take on that whole being able to put someone in that type of? Now, again, there's a difference than a doctor that's trying to fix a situation, right?
I agree.
And then now you're doing it for entertainment. Is it the same thing?
Well,
Is the
my
control the
daughter,
same?
my daughter is, she's asked me a couple of times, and I guess maybe she didn't remember the years apart that she even mentioned to me. She goes, Dad, I know you're going to get mad, but I went and saw a psychic. I'm like, okay. And she's like, you're not mad? I'm like, why? I didn't go see the psychic. I'm not going to be a, she goes, well, they're real. I said, honey, that's the problem, is they are very real. They're very real. They can see things from the past. Can they see the future? I don't know. But they can see snapshots of things that have happened, because I believe that that stuff is real, but they're not giving you any epiphanies. They're not telling you something that they'll tell you, oh, I'm talking to your mother, Kelly, and she says she loves you and she's sorry. Well, fuck you. I mean, of course she's going to say that. She killed herself. So this is all crap that they try to pipe you into. But the thing is that there's nothing valuable that they can tell me that I don't already know. And now, when it
Right.
comes to like going to EMDR, you're not going to allow anything to happen to you or hypnotize that you would normally. You're not going to say, okay, take a gun and shoot yourself in the head. No, you're not being brainwashed. You're volunteering your body for something to happen. You're not going to. He just walked off the building. I don't know what happened.
I see some really high ratings on that show.
So I mean, none of that stuff happens. But I'm telling you what, it's like when I and it was really weird for me because my aunt Donna Dutt, we call her Donna Dutt, but Dutt is my mama's little sister, and is the spit and image of our grandfathers. Both of them look alike, and so when I see her, it reminds me of my mother. And when I saw her the first time after going through EMDR, I said, you know what, Dutt? I said, you know what I miss most about Mama? I miss the way she smells, because you just know the smell in that you have as a baby being close to your mom. They've got a certain smell that you're just drawn to. And she'd go, come here, baby. And she'd take me and put her head right into her neck. But it's like, you remember I remember what she smelled like. How can you
Right.
describe that? I can't describe it, but I remember the colors in there. I remember where everything looked. I remember what was on television, for God's sake, you know?
Crazy.
So, but yeah, so the power of the mind is, I mean, you can do a lot of things with your mind that people
Well,
don't agree with, but
I may have shared it in the past, but for the sake of being on topic, I will share it again. I did one time go to a palm reader, and I normally wouldn't, nor would I now. In fact, I more so wouldn't now because I'm a much greater believer than I was then. But I was drunk. It was Newport Beach, being a friend of mine riding bikes and going bar hopping, shooting pool, playing darts, and driving the bike. And here we go past the palm reader. Hey, let's go in. This will be fun. This is so long ago, right? I think it was like $10. And let me tell you something. And again, this is one of these memories, which is the weirdest thing. Why would this memory, first of all, here's the first part of this. Why would that memory ever stick in my head, right? First of all, I was wasted. It was so, what the person said would normally have been so insignificant. I can't even remember anything else they said, but I remember one line that she said when she was looking at my hand, and she said, you are going to fall in love with someone from the East. In my head, I'm thinking fucking Jersey, Pittsburgh, don't tell me Ohio, right?
I'm saying your fingers were stained with soy sauce. That's how she knew.
One, I think it's just uncanny and almost uncomfortable that it was accurate so many years later, 38, 37 years later, right?
Right.
But more weird that even up until the time it happened, I never forgot that memory. So it wasn't like it was there and I was striving for it, but it wasn't like I didn't also like I thought about it after I met her. It always sort of threw me off, like, why would she say that? Right. And then I never understood what the East meant, because I would have certainly never thought Asia.
Right.
But that's the East.
Ho Chi Minh City, baby.
When you talk, I can say it because they're not going to throw me. Well, they might throw me in prison when I go there. Maybe I shouldn't fucking say shit. But okay, I know how to word it. I've heard through the grapevine that some people in the southern region of Vietnam are certainly more comfortable in on a personal and at home and in private conversations still call it Saigon.
Oh, okay.
because Ho Chi Minh was the general from the north.
Right.
So when you're out in the street shopping, you're not going to say shit. And the reason I knew this is because Tweety, born 3 or 4 years after the war, and the name change refers to it as Saigon when I asked her where she was from.
Well,
it's a major city. It's like changing the name of New York to Wally World. I mean, how long would that? Everyone's going to call it New York for the next 50 fucking 70 years, right? Isn't it natural? I mean, how many times do people still call the Rams the Los Angeles Rams?
See, what's happening to you happens to me a lot, and it happens through my faith. And so the difference between what happened to me and what happened to you, the outcome are still the same as far as results. I mean, God is going to bless you with some serious money, and He does. And you're like, I stop and say, you know what? I worship a God who just is such a giving person that me such a piece of crap. He's going to be this good to me. So I'm able to thank Him and understand His word, read a little bit more. Okay, I want to go to heaven where it's like this all the time, where they say the streets are paved with gold. Well, they say that because everything is so lustrous that we pave our stuff with the stuff that you think is important down there. It's no big of a deal for us. So I want to be in that situation. So it just affirms my faith. Now, somebody can tell me this is going to happen to you. Okay, well, I'm going to pray about it and see what it's like, because I feel better when I pray, and my spirit tells me, well, there's something in Christianity. It's like spirits are real. As I told my daughter, I say, if you don't think spirits are real, then you don't believe in spirits. They are very real. They can torment people. They can inhabit their body. They can be possessed. They can have demons in them. That's all. I've seen it. It's scary sometimes. Somebody that you know of, and you see him possessed, and you're like, I'm not getting near that person because I see something dark inside them that wasn't there before. So that stuff's all real. But what I tell people is like, look, there are real spirits, and I understand that, but the spirit inside me is greater than all those spirits. So I'm not really worried about it. So you can't take me away. But it doesn't make me afraid. But that's why I told my daughter, they're very real. I'm not going to tell you that I don't believe in them, because I do. I just don't follow them. That's all. But
that's a very logical point.
Yeah.
See, and why can't, when it comes to politics, why can't more people take that approach? Okay, you have a belief system, and I have a belief system, and I may agree with these things, and you don't, and you have things that you're, more involved in and believe in, and that's cool too. So why? I bring this up just because, again, I was my brother, and oh, Jesus Christ, I always get on these things where I don't know whether I should talk about them.
Well, I'll say something first before you get there. It's like, I understand what you're dealing with. And it's like, I've had situations happen with me where I've had the same situation happen. So go ahead, just tell me what you're agonizing on. Let's talk about it. I don't care. I want to know.
Well, I'm not really agonizing on it because I'm past that, but it's like my older brother tried to patch things up because my other brother hasn't talked to me for like a year, a little over a year and a half, or whatever, because of this Trump thing. And we'll differ on how the topic came up, but listen, my whole family does not think like I do in a conservative fashion in politics as much. So that's not uncommon. And I know, I never bring it up. It's not even a topic. If someone else brings it up, I'll answer with a snippet and I'll end it. I'm not going to debate because I'm okay that you think a certain way. It doesn't bother me. I don't expect people not to. That's why it's called a choice. That's why it's a vote. That's why it's a free fucking country.
See, I agree with that to a certain extent,
but when the topic came up and I gave my opinion, and the whole topic was so absurd. My brother was like, first of all, and I don't even know why he fucking brings up politics, because I don't like to talk. I called him to tell him a joke, right? That's how, hey, I keep things light with my family. We don't sit there and have these fucking deep down conversations all the time. We definitely don't talk about politics, and we definitely don't talk about religion. And isn't that just a wise observation for most families? You know what I mean? Just enjoy each other.
Well, I listen to my friends say that shit all the time, but you have to let them have their opinions. Unless they
bother me.
Unless they quote something wrong that you know of. It's like, look, I don't think they're reading that correctly.
He had brought up that so I tell him this joke, right? I'm telling this joke and I'm laughing. All of a sudden he gets real serious and he's like, have you been watching the news? And I'm like, well, no, I haven't really watched the news since 2011 because it's all fucking bullshit, no matter who you watch. I don't care whether it's CNN or Fox News. It's all fucking bullshit. It's all scripted. But go ahead. What's happening that I'm not aware of? Trump is going to take over the Gaza Strip and turn it into a golf resort. Okay, so I immediately start laughing, which he took great offense to. And I can understand it now because he probably thought I was laughing at him. I was laughing because I've heard and seen enough of Trump that I know he just sheds shit to get people's goat. You know, just like Howard Stern does. If you ever used to listen to Howard Stern, that wasn't the real him.
Yeah, I mean, Trump's just going, okay, be that way. I'll just make that place a golf course, okay? That's the way he said it, you know?
He's like, you know, he probably said, I don't even doubt that he said it.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah, it's going to be the most fabulous golf course ever, blah, blah, right? I don't even doubt that he said it.
Better than anything in China.
But I know if he did say it, he was just yanking chain because that's what he loves to do. And quite frankly, as unprofessional as it may be, it's part of him that I like the most because he doesn't mind just fucking giving it to someone, right? But anyway, so I laughed, and then that started it off. He's like, "Oh, I can't believe you think this is funny." And did you hear what Elon Musk is doing with your Social Security number? And I said, well, no, but considering the cable company has it and everybody that I do business with has it, and I guarantee you it's on the black web. No, what is going on with my social? He goes, no. I'm not talking about your Social Security number, your Social Security information. And I'm like, okay, so the richest man in the world knows that I'm going to get $2,900 a month for my retirement. The fuck? What do I?
Right. Exactly.
Not the fact that he's looking for fraud, which I didn't commit, so I have no skin in the game, right? I don't care. Go find the fraud. I didn't commit it. And that's how it started. Because I thought I thought that the golf course at the Gaza Strip. First of all, look, I'm wearing a golf shirt now. I golf today. No one wants to fucking golf in the Gaza Strip. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
But even that said, it's why can't you have humor about this? You know, if someone says something stupid, so it's funny. Doesn't matter who says it, right? I've heard both parties say stupid shit. Fucking wasn't George Bush the king of saying stupid shit?
Yep.
Mispronouncing things, right? I voted for him. Still thought it was funny as shit when he did it. Not as anything other than he was being human. He was being human. He mispronounced something. He said something wrong. He, you know, just like Trump's not a polished politician. He says stupid shit, but half the time it's for the reaction.
Right.
And guess what? He gets the reaction. Just if you just fucking ignored him, he wouldn't even say half that shit. Right.
Right. I agree with you.
It's like someone picking on you at school. You just ignore him, the fun goes away.
Right. If you bring attention so that it bothers it,
because your head blows up, that it's like, you know, it's like if I'm doing pedicures and someone says, "Oh, careful, that spot tickles." I'm like, now I know you're married, so you know better than to tell a guy what bothers you because that's the first thing we're gonna do. Right?
Exactly. You mean this? You mean this?
Yeah. Right.
Well,
I'm right. That's
exactly.
We're wired that way.
Yep.
Don't do yourself a favor. Don't tell us what bothers you.
Or just don't tell us not to. I remember I went to see the movie Airplane with my then roommate best friend when it first came out. So we're
Classic.
Just stoned to the bejeebers watching this, laughing our butts off this movie. And literally right behind us, these people were moving to their seats, and he had this woman's like Daisy Duke shorts with her cheeks hanging out, really nice butt, right behind his head. And I said, Matt, whatever you do, don't turn around. What do you think the first thing he did? Put his nose right into that woman's cheeks. He's like, we got cheek on either side of his cheeks, you know, right? And he just kind of goes, rah, like that. And this girl freaked out. But I mean, but hey,
it's just
don't
like
tell us not to do something.
Careful, this plate's very hot. Right? The server's got 2 fucking pads. Yeah. First thing they do.
What's hot to you? Oh, you mean, wait, can I have my skin back off the plate? I guess that really was hot, you know?
I saw the funniest meme today. It showed one of these beaches back in the 60s or 70s, and it had this divider for the swim area going out, and it was basically a water line, but it was a big water like sewer type tube going all the way out. And there's a big sign on the front of it saying, "No, stay off the piping and no playing on or around the piping," or something like that, right? The thing's loaded with like 50 kids, right?
It's just the way it is, right?
Oh, does that say do or don't? I can't tell from here. Let's go.
Yeah, kids trying to light a match on a 55-gallon drum of kerosene. It's a
buddy, we already called last week's show overtime, so we better wrap it up. We will chat next week. All the best to you and the Braves. Tigers are on like a 7-game winning streak.
Oh, they got beat today, 8-6 in Boston.
Yes, that's 6 games, really.
Yeah, they got beat. And the Braves,
they had 6 games.
They beat the Phillies 3 times in a row, and there's nothing better than that than watching the Phillies lose. So, hey, everybody, be good humans. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for putting up with our jabbering, but hey, we're just 2 average Joes trying to have a good time. Take care, gentlemen. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good
Thank you, buddy. Take care.